My chosen one, pause for a moment, because what you are about to hear is not random. This is not just another message scrolling past your eyes. This is divine timing, perfectly aligned with this very day, June 14th. There is a reason your spirit felt a pull, a quiet urgency, something you couldn't explain, but couldn't ignore either. That feeling, it is not your imagination. It is a signal. Archangel Michael stands near you at this very moment, not in fear, but in authority and protection, carrying a message that cannot wait any longer. He is saying clearly and without hesitation, do not ignore the signs God keeps showing you. These signs are not accidents. They are not coincidences. They are intentional, repeated, and deeply personal. And yet, something within you has been brushing them aside, second-guessing, delaying, or even pretending not to see. But today changes that. There are moments in life when heaven becomes louder, not in noise, but in repetition. The same message appears again and again, in different forms, through different paths, until it finally breaks through. Think about it. How many times recently have you seen something that made you stop and wonder? A number that keeps repeating. A dream that felt too real to forget. A sudden feeling that came out of nowhere. A conversation that felt like it was meant just for you. These are not small things. These are whispers turning into calls. And here is the truth that may shake you. Ignoring these signs does not make them disappear. It only delays what God is trying to reveal to you. Archangel Michael is not bringing this message to overwhelm you, but to awaken you. Because something is shifting around you right now. There is a spiritual movement happening behind the scenes of your life, something you cannot fully see yet, but you can feel it. That restlessness, that curiosity, that sense that something is about to change, it is real. You were never meant to walk blindly. You were meant to be guided. But guidance requires attention. Right now, there is a divine urgency, as if heaven itself is leaning closer, trying to get your focus before a crucial moment passes. This is not about fear. This is about alignment. Because when you recognize the signs and respond, things begin to open. Doors you didn't even know existed start to appear. Tasks become clearer. Confusion begins to fade. But if you continue to ignore what is being shown to you, you risk missing a moment that was specifically designed for your breakthrough. Let this sink into your spirit. You are not being warned because something is wrong. You are being called because something is ready. And today, on June 14th, that call becomes impossible to ignore. Stay here because what is about to be revealed next will uncover the exact signs you've been seeing, and why they are appearing now more than ever. There is something about this exact moment that is not ordinary. You may have woken up today feeling slightly different, unable to explain why your thoughts seem louder, your awareness sharper, your emotions more sensitive. That is not SLUJIKAKI. This day, June 14th, carries a spiritual weight that has been building long before you became conscious of it. And now, you are standing right in the middle of it. In the unseen realm, timing is never random. God does not move based on human calendars, yet there are moments when heaven aligns with earthly time to release a message, a shift, or a warning that cannot be delayed. This is one of those moments. Archangel Michael is stepping forward not just as a protector, but as a messenger of urgency, because something around your life has reached a point where clarity is no longer optional. You may have noticed that over the past few days, things have felt intensified. Small events carry deeper meaning. Certain words lingered in your mind longer than usual. Even silence felt different, as if it was trying to speak. These are not emotional fluctuations. They are signs of heightened spiritual activity, where the distance between you and divine communication becomes thinner. June 14th acts like a doorway, a moment where what has been hidden begins to surface. Not everything will reveal itself all at once, but the signals become stronger, clearer, and harder to ignore. This is why Archangel Michael is warning you now. Because when signs increase, it means direction is being offered. And when direction is offered, a decision must follow. There is also something deeply personal about this timing. This is not a general message meant for everyone in the same way. This is tailored to you. The patterns you've been experiencing, the thoughts you've been revisiting, the subtle nudges you've been feeling, these are all connected to a bigger picture that is slowly unfolding. And today marks a point where those pieces begin to align in a way that demands your attention. You might be wondering why now? Why not earlier? Why not later? The answer is simple, yet profound, because you are ready now. Not perfectly ready, not fully understanding everything, but ready enough to recognize that something is happening. Ready enough to pause and listen. Ready enough to feel that this moment matters. Archangel Michael's presence today is not distant or symbolic. It is active. It is intentional. It is near. His role is to cut through confusion, to remove the fog that has been clouding your perception, and to bring a sharp awareness to what truly matters. And what matters right now is your ability to recognize the signs that God hath been placing in your path. There is also a sense of urgency tied to this day because delay has already taken its toll. There were moments before this when you sensed something but chose to wait. You hesitated. You questioned yourself. And while that did not remove your path, it slowed your alignment with it. But today is not about regret. It is about correction. This is the moment where everything begins to make sense, not all at once, but in pieces that come together with clarity. The repetition you've been experiencing is not coincidence. It is confirmation. The discomfort you've been feeling is not confusion. It is transition. And the pull you feel right now, the one that brought you here to this very message, is not accidental. It is intentional guidance. So understand this deeply. June 14th is not just another day in your life. It is a spiritual checkpoint. A moment where heaven is asking you one simple but powerful question. Are you finally ready to see what has been shown to you all along? Because what comes next will reveal the exact signs you've been encountering and why ignoring them is no longer an option. Listen closely, because this is where everything begins to come into focus. The signs you have been experiencing are not hidden in complexity. They are simple, repeated, and persistent. Yet their simplicity is exactly why they are so often overlooked. You expected something dramatic, something undeniable, something impossible to question. But God often speaks in ways that require your awareness, not your surprise. Think back carefully. There have been patterns forming around you, numbers that appear again and again, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, at times that feel too precise to dismiss. You glance at the clock and see the same sequence. You notice it on receipts, on screens, in places where your attention just happens to land. That is not random. That is rhythm. That is a quiet code, tapping gently at your consciousness, waiting for recognition. Then there are the dreams. Not every dream, but the ones that stay with you long after you wake up. The ones that feel different, clearer, heavier, almost like a message wrapped in symbols. You tried to shake them off, telling yourself it was just your mind processing things. But deep down, you felt there was more. Those dreams carried impressions, warnings, or directions that your waking mind has been hesitant to accept. And what about those sudden feelings? Moments when everything seemed normal, and then out of nowhere, a strong sense of knowing came over you. A feeling to go somewhere, to avoid something, to reach out to someone, or to step back. These are not emotional fluctuations. These are spiritual nudges. They don't shout, they whisper. But their consistency is what gives them power. You have also encountered conversations that felt too aligned to be accidental. Someone sent something that struck directly at your situation, even though they had no way of knowing. A message appeared at just the right moment, answering a question you hadn't spoken out loud. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations, placed strategically in your path. But here is where the struggle begins. Each time a sign appears, your mind steps in. It questions. It doubts. It looks for logical explanations. And while wisdom is important, overthinking becomes a barrier when it silences what your spirit already recognizes as true. You started telling yourself things like, maybe it's nothing, or I'm probably reading too much into this. And just like that, the clarity of the sign begins to fade. Archangel Michael is stepping in now to break that cycle. Because the danger is not that the signs are unclear. The danger is that you have become too comfortable ignoring them. And every time you dismiss a sign, you delay a response that could have moved you forward. There is also a deeper layer to this. Some signs have made you uncomfortable. Not because they were confusing, but because they pointed toward change. They nudged you out of familiarity, out of routine, out of what feels safe. And instead of embracing the direction, you hesitated. You paused. You chose to stay where things felt predictable. But understand this clearly. God does not repeat signs without purpose. Repetition is not persistence without meaning. It is emphasis. It is heaven saying, this matters. Pay attention. Do not miss this. Right now, you are being asked to shift your perspective. Instead of questioning whether the signs are real, begin asking what they are leading you toward. Instead of dismissing them, start observing them. Notice the patterns. Feel the consistency. Recognize the timing. Because once you begin to truly see these signs for what they are, everything changes. Confusion starts to lift. Direction begins to form. And the path that once felt uncertain starts to reveal itself, step by step. You are not being left in the dark. You are being guided through it. Type I see the signs in the comments if this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 3147 is now activated over your life. And as this awareness opens within you, understand this. When you respond to divine signs, you are not just helping yourself, you are becoming a light for others who are still searching. I feel led to say this to you. As you give, so shall it be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is not just a verse. It is a living promise speaking into your moment. When your heart feels the pull to support this mission, it is not a transaction. It is a seed being planted into fertile ground where lives are being awakened every single day. If this message has reached you at the right time, imagine how many others are still waiting for their moment of clarity. You can be part of that flow. The links to give through PayPal are in the description, and even a simple offering becomes a river that carries this word further than you can see. Do not ignore that prompting. Step into it. Sow with purpose, and watch what begins to open in your own life. There is a reason why recognizing these signs has not been easy for you. It is not because you are incapable, and it is not because the signs are unclear. It is because there is an opposing force that benefits from your distraction. The moment you begin to get closer to clarity, something subtle begins to interfere. Not in obvious ways, not in loud interruptions, but in quiet diversions that slowly pull your attention away from what truly matters. You may have noticed how easily your focus shifts. One moment, you feel deeply connected, aware that something meaningful is happening around you. And then suddenly, your mind becomes crowded. Thoughts start racing. Doubts begin to creep in. You get busy with things that seem urgent, but are not truly important. That is not SLUCHATIKAKI. That is strategy. The enemy does not always attack with fear. Sometimes, the greatest distraction comes through comfort, through routine, through the illusion that everything can wait. You tell yourself, "I'll think about it later," or "I'll deal with it tomorrow." And in that delay, the intensity of the sign begins to fade. The urgency softens. The moment passes. Archangel Michael is revealing this to you now because awareness is your defense. When you understand the tactics, you begin to see through them. Distraction often comes disguised as normal life. Endless scrolling, unnecessary worries, overanalyzing situations that do not require that level of attention. These are all subtle ways your energy is being redirected. There is also the voice of doubt. It does not shout, it whispers. It tells you that you are imagining things, that you are overthinking, that you should not take these signs seriously. And the more you listen to that voice, the quieter your spiritual awareness becomes. Not because it disappears, but because it is being ignored. Another powerful distraction is fear of change. Some of the signs you have received are pointing you toward something different, something unfamiliar. And instead of embracing that direction, fear steps in and magnifies the unknown. It shows you all the reasons why you should stay where you are. It convinces you that stepping forward is risky, uncertain, even unnecessary. But here is what you must understand. Staying where you are when you are being called forward is its own kind of risk. The enemy thrives in stagnation. When you remain in the same place, repeating the same patterns, ignoring the same signs, nothing shifts. And that is exactly the goal, to keep you from moving, from growing, from stepping into what has already been prepared for you. There is also the distraction of noise. Not just physical noise, but mental and emotional noise. Too many opinions, too many voices, too many influences pulling you in different directions. When everything around you is loud, it becomes difficult to hear the quiet guidance that is meant specifically for you. This is why stillness feels so uncomfortable at times, because in stillness, the distractions lose their power. In silence, clarity begins to rise. And once you become clear, you can no longer pretend that you do not know what is being asked of you. Archangel Michael stands as a protector of that clarity. His presence cuts through confusion. He does not allow deception to remain hidden when you are willing to see. But his guidance requires your cooperation. You must be willing to pause, to step back from the noise, to question what is truly important and what is merely distracting you. Right now, you are being given a choice, not a forced decision, but an awareness. You can continue allowing distractions to guide your attention, or you can begin to reclaim your focus and align it with what God is showing you. Because the signs have not stopped. Even in the middle of distraction, they are still appearing, still repeating, still calling out to you. The question is no longer whether the signs are there. The question is whether you are ready to see past the distractions that have been keeping you from them. There comes a moment when awareness alone is no longer enough. You can recognize the signs, you can feel the nudges, you can even understand what they might be pointing toward. But if there is no response, no movement, no action, then something essential remains incomplete. This is where many people find themselves stuck. And this is exactly where Archangel Michael is raising his voice with urgency. Delayed obedience may feel harmless at first. It doesn't look like rebellion. It doesn't feel like rejection. It feels like hesitation, like needing more time, like waiting for perfect clarity before taking a step. But what you must understand is this. When God gives you a sign, He is not asking for perfection. He is asking for trust. Every delay creates distance. Not distance from God's presence, but distance from the fullness of what He is trying to bring into your life. The longer you wait, the easier it becomes to settle back into comfort, to normalize the very situation you were being called out of. And slowly, what once felt urgent begins to feel optional. Archangel Michael is warning you now because this pattern cannot continue. You have already been shown enough to take at least one step forward. You may not see the entire path, but you have seen enough to move. And movement is what activates alignment. There is a misconception that clarity must come before action. But in many cases, clarity follows obedience. When you take a step based on what you already know, new understanding begins to unfold. Doors that were once invisible start to appear. Connections begin to form. And what once felt uncertain starts to take shape. But when you delay, those same doors remain closed, not because they are locked, but because they are waiting for your response. There is also a deeper consequence to delayed obedience that often goes unnoticed. It affects your confidence in your own spiritual awareness. Each time you ignore a sign or postpone a response, a subtle doubt begins to grow within you. You start questioning your ability to discern. You begin to feel disconnected, even though the guidance never stopped. This is not punishment. It is the natural result of inaction. But here is the truth that must settle deeply within you. God has not stopped speaking to you. The signs have not disappeared. The direction has not been withdrawn. What is being asked of you now is not to start over, but to continue from where you paused. Think about the last clear prompting you felt. Not the one you dismissed quickly, but the one that stayed with you. The one that returned more than once. That is where your next step begins. Archangel Michael's presence in this moment is not to pressure you, but to strengthen you. He stands as a reminder that you are not stepping forward alone. Protection goes with you. Guidance goes with you. Strength goes with you. But none of it can be fully experienced if you remain still when you are meant to move. There is also a timing element that cannot be ignored. Some opportunities are connected to specific seasons. When you move in alignment, things flow more naturally. But when you delay beyond that window, the path may become more difficult. Not impossible, but more resistant. This is why the warning carries urgency. Not fear, but importance. You are closer than you think to a shift that could change everything. But that shift is waiting on your willingness to act. Not perfectly, not fearlessly, but faithfully. Let go of the idea that you need to have everything figured out. You don't. What you need is the courage to respond to what has already been revealed to you. Because obedience is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting the one who is giving you the direction. And right now, that direction is clear enough for you to take your next step. Take a deep moment and look back over your life, not just casually, but with intention. Because if you are honest with yourself, you will begin to see that this is not the first time God has tried to get your attention. This is not the first moment where something felt different, where something stirred inside you, where something tried to redirect your path. These moments have happened before, quietly, repeatedly, patiently. There were times when you were about to make a decision, and something within you hesitated. It didn't make logical sense. Everything on the outside seemed fine, yet inside, there was a resistance you could not explain. Instead of listening to that feeling, you pushed through it, telling yourself it was just fear or overthinking. But later, you realized that feeling was trying to protect you. There were also moments when you felt strongly led to do something simple. Reach out to someone, go somewhere unexpected, or change a small part of your routine. It didn't seem significant at the time, so you ignored it. But later, you saw what you missed. You saw how that small action could have opened a connection, prevented a situation, or led you into something meaningful. And then there were the delays that didn't make sense. Times when things didn't work out the way you planned, when doors closed without explanation, when opportunities slipped away even though you thought they were right for you. You may have felt frustrated, confused, even disappointed. But what if those moments were not setbacks but redirections? God often speaks through what does not happen just as much as through what does. A closed door is not always rejection. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is correction. Sometimes it is a sign that what you were pursuing was not aligned with what was prepared for you. There were also encounters. People who entered your life at just the right time, said exactly what you needed to hear, and then disappeared just as quickly. At the time, it felt heseluchayakatki. But now, when you look back, you realize those moments carried meaning. Those words stayed with you for a reason. Even your struggles have carried signs. The situations that stretched you, that made you uncomfortable, that forced you to grow, those were not random hardships. They were shaping moments. They were preparing you, refining you, and building a deeper awareness within you so that when the next sign appeared, you would be more ready to recognize it. But here is the pattern that cannot be ignored. In many of these moments, the sign was there, but the response was delayed or dismissed. Not out of rebellion, but out of uncertainty, out of hesitation, out of not fully trusting what you felt. And yet, despite all of that, the signs never stopped. That is the grace you are standing in right now. Even when you missed it before, even when you overlooked it, even when you chose a different path, God continued to reach out to you, continued to guide you, continued to bring you back to this moment of awareness. Archangel Michael is revealing this to you now so that you can see the pattern clearly, not to feel regret, but to recognize the consistency of divine guidance in your life. You have never been without direction. You have only been learning how to see it. And now, something is different. Now, you are not just remembering these moments, you are understanding them. You are beginning to see how each sign, each nudge, each redirection was part of a larger design. A design that did not depend on your perfection, but on your willingness to eventually respond. This is where everything begins to shift. Because once you see how often God has tried to guide you, it becomes harder to ignore what is happening now. The signs you are receiving today are not new. They are a continuation, a stronger, clearer extension of what has always been present. And this time, you are not being asked to look back. You are being invited to finally respond in the present. There is a moment in every spiritual journey when everything begins to shift, not because the signs suddenly become louder, but because you finally choose to listen. This moment does not arrive with noise or dramatic display. It arrives quietly, like a decision forming deep within you, a calm but firm realization that you can no longer ignore what has been shown to you again and again. This is the turning point. It is the moment when awareness transforms into action. When you stop questioning whether the signs are real and begin asking what they require from you. When hesitation loses its grip, and even though you may still feel uncertain, you move forward anyway. Something powerful happens when you reach this point. The same signs that once felt confusing begin to feel clear. The same nudges that once felt easy to dismiss begin to feel undeniable. It is not because the signs have changed. It is because your perception has shifted. You are no longer observing from a distance. You are engaging with intention. Archangel Michael stands close in this moment, not just as a guide, but as a witness to your decision. Because choosing to listen is not a small step. It is a spiritual alignment that begins to unlock everything that has been waiting for your response. You may notice that once you decide to listen, things begin to move differently. Situations that felt stuck start to shift. Conversations become more meaningful. Opportunities appear with a sense of timing that feels almost precise. This is not coincidence. This is alignment activating in your life. But this turning point is not just about external changes. It is also about what begins to happen within you. A new kind of clarity starts to rise. Not the kind that answers every question, but the kind that gives you peace even when not everything is understood. You begin to trust your inner awareness more. You stop dismissing your intuition so quickly. You give yourself permission to follow what you feel is right, even if it does not make perfect sense to others. There is also a release that takes place. The weight of confusion begins to lift. A constant back and forth in your mind starts to quiet down. And in that stillness, you begin to recognize a deeper truth. You were never truly lost. You were simply learning how to hear. This is where many people hesitate again, because stepping into this new level of awareness requires letting go of old patterns. Patterns of doubt, patterns of delay, patterns of seeking validation from places that cannot provide the clarity you are looking for. But once you cross this point, going back feels different. The same distractions no longer satisfy you in the same way. The same excuses no longer feel convincing. Because now, you know. And knowing creates responsibility. Archangel Michael's presence becomes even more evident here, not because he suddenly appears, but because your awareness of his guidance becomes stronger. You begin to feel protected in your decisions, even when they challenge you. You begin to sense that you are not navigating life alone, but walking with direction. This turning point is also where faith begins to take on a new meaning. It is no longer just belief. It becomes movement. It becomes action. It becomes the willingness to step forward without needing to see the entire path. And as you take those steps, something remarkable begins to happen. The gap between where you are and where you are meant to be starts to close. Not instantly, not all at once, but steadily. Each decision, each response, each moment of listening brings you closer to alignment. Understand this deeply. The turning point is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming responsive. You are not expected to get everything right. You are not expected to understand everything immediately. You are only being asked to listen and respond to what has already been revealed to you. And now, you are standing in that moment. The moment where everything begins to change, not because the signs are new, but because you are finally ready to follow them. What you are beginning to realize now is something that was always present, but never fully understood. Every sign you have been receiving is not just a message. It carries something within it. Something deeper than direction. Something more powerful than awareness. Each sign holds a blessing, carefully placed, waiting to be uncovered the moment you choose to respond. This is where your perspective must shift completely. You may have been looking at these signs as interruptions, as confusing moments, or even as inconveniences that disrupted your normal routine. But in truth, they were never meant to disturb you. They were meant to deliver something to you. Something specific. Something timely. Something that could not reach you any other way. A sign is never empty. When God sends a sign, it carries purpose. It may be protection from something you cannot yet see. It may be redirection away from a path that would have led you into struggle. Or it may be guidance toward an opportunity that is aligned perfectly with your growth, your calling, and your future. But here is what makes it powerful. The blessing inside the sign is only revealed through response. If you ignore the sign, the blessing remains hidden. Not because it was taken away, but because it requires your movement to be activated. This is why some people feel like they are waiting for something to change, while everything around them remains the same. It is not that nothing is happening. It is that something is waiting for their participation. Think about this deeply. How many times have you felt like you were close to something but never quite reached it? Like something was almost within your grasp, but it slipped away just before you could step into it. In many cases, the sign was there, pointing the way forward, but without a response. The moment passed quietly. Now, however, something is different. Now, you are beginning to see that every repeated number, every unexpected encounter, every inner nudge was not random. It was loaded with intention. It was carrying an answer, a solution, or a shift that was meant specifically for you. There are blessings connected to your obedience that cannot be released any other way. Some of these blessings are immediate. A sense of peace that replaces confusion. A clear direction that removes hesitation. A connection that opens a new path. But some blessings are larger, unfolding over time. They begin with a single step, a single decision to follow what has been shown to you. Archangel Michael is revealing this truth to you now so that you no longer see signs as something small. They are sacred, they are precise, and they are powerful. There is also a layer of protection hidden within these signs. Sometimes, what feels like a delay or a redirection is actually saving you from something that was not meant for you. You may not always see it immediately, but later, when you look back, the reason becomes clear. This is why ignoring signs can carry consequences, not as punishment, but as missed protection, missed alignment, and missed opportunity. But today is not about what was missed. Today is about what is still being offered. Because the signs have not stopped. The guidance has not been withdrawn. The blessings are still in place, waiting for you to step into them. And now that you see this, you are no longer responding blindly. You are responding with understanding. Type "I receive the blessings" in the comments if you are ready to step into what God hath been placing before you. Blessing code 8821 is now activated and flowing through your life. And as these blessings begin to unfold, hear this clearly within your spirit. When you honor what God is placing before you, you become part of something greater than yourself. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is not distant scripture. It is a living voice speaking directly into your moment. I feel led to say, I choose to be a vessel for this message to reach others. When that desire rises within you, it is not SL Duce Adikaki. It is a calling. Every seed you release through PayPal becomes a stream that carries this message to someone who is still waiting in silence for clarity. The links are in the description, and even the smallest offering becomes a powerful act of alignment. Do not hesitate. Step into this flow, and as you give, may unexpected doors open, may provision meet you, and may your life reflect the abundance you are helping to release. And now that your awareness has been awakened, a deeper question begins to rise within you. How do you truly know which signs are from God? How do you separate divine guidance from your own thoughts, your fears, or the noise around you? This is where discernment becomes essential, because not every voice that speaks into your mind carries truth, and not every feeling leads you in the right direction. But here is the reassurance you need. God's voice is not confusing. It does not create chaos within you. Even when it challenges you, it carries a sense of clarity and steadiness that feels different from anything else. The first thing you must understand is that God's guidance often comes with peace, even when the instruction itself feels uncomfortable. You may be asked to step into something unfamiliar, something that stretches you beyond your comfort zone. But beneath that discomfort, there is a quiet assurance, a calm knowing that this is right. Fear, on the other hand, is loud. It rushes you. It pressures you. It fills your mind with worst-case scenarios and pulls you away from trust. Discernment begins by learning to recognize that difference. When a thought or a sign leads you toward growth, toward truth, toward something that aligns with integrity and purpose, it carries the signature of divine guidance. It may not always be easy, but it will never lead you into confusion or harm. God does not guide you into darkness. He guides you through it. Another key to discernment is consistency. God's voice does not change from moment to moment. If something is truly a sign, it will not appear once and disappear completely. It will repeat. It will confirm itself in different ways. You will see it through patterns, through timing, through alignment that feels too precise to ignore. This is why repetition matters so much. It is not there to overwhelm you. It is there to confirm what has already been spoken. There is also a sense of timing that comes with divine guidance. God's voice does not rush you into panic, but it also does not encourage endless delay. It creates a balanced urgency, a knowing that something needs to be done, but with a calmness that allows you to move with clarity instead of fear. You may also notice that when God is speaking to you, the message often becomes clearer when you create space. In silence, in stillness, away from distractions, the confusion begins to fade. This is because divine guidance is not meant to compete with noise. It becomes strongest when you are willing to pause and listen. Archangel Michael plays a powerful role in this process. His presence helps cut through deception. He strengthens your ability to recognize truth. When you feel overwhelmed or uncertain, calling on his guidance brings a sense of protection and clarity that anchors your awareness. You may not see him, but you can feel the shift, like a weight lifting, like a fog clearing. Another important truth is this: God's voice often aligns with what has already been placed within you. Your values, your sense of right and wrong, your deeper understanding of purpose. These are not separate from divine guidance. They are part of it. When something feels deeply aligned with who you are at your core, that is not sluchakaki. That is connection. But be aware of one more thing: overthinking can distort even the clearest sign. When you analyze something too much, you begin to layer it with doubt, fear, and unnecessary questions. What was once simple becomes complicated. This is why discernment is not just about thinking. It is about sensing, trusting, and allowing clarity to come without forcing it. You are not being asked to figure everything out perfectly. You are being asked to recognize the difference between what brings peace and what brings confusion, between what repeats with purpose and what appears randomly, between what aligns with truth and what pulls you away from it. And as you begin to practice this, something remarkable happens. Your confidence grows. You stop second-guessing every sign. You stop dismissing every nudge. You begin to trust that what you are receiving has meaning, has direction, and has purpose. Because the truth is, God has been speaking to you clearly. And now, you are finally learning how to hear Him. There will be moments in this journey where even after you recognize the signs, even after you begin to discern what is being shown to you, things still do not fully make sense. The direction may feel clear, but the outcome remains hidden. The instruction may be present, but the reason behind it is not yet revealed. This is where faith becomes more than a concept. It becomes your anchor. Faith is not the absence of questions. It is the decision to move forward even when the answers are incomplete. You may find yourself in situations where the signs are pointing you towards something that does not align with your expectations. It may not fit your plans. It may not match what you thought your path would look like. And in those moments, your mind will try to resist. It will search for logic, for proof, for guarantees. But divine guidance does not always come with explanations. Sometimes it comes with an invitation to trust. Archangel Michael is present in these moments to strengthen that trust. Because when understanding is limited, faith must rise. Not blind faith, but grounded faith. The kind that is built on the consistency of what you have already experienced. The kind that remembers how many times you have been guided before, even when you did not fully realize it at the time. Think about it. There have been moments in your past where things did not make sense at first, but later, everything became clear. What felt confusing then revealed itself as necessary. What felt like a delay turned out to be perfect timing. What felt like a closed door became a redirection that led you somewhere better. This is the nature of faith. It bridges the gap between where you are and what you cannot yet see. There is also a deeper reason why not everything is revealed at once. If you could see the entire path clearly from the beginning, there would be no need for trust. But trust is what strengthens your connection with God. It is what deepens your awareness. It is what transforms your journey from simply moving forward into growing spiritually. When signs don't make sense, it does not mean they are wrong. It means they are ahead of your current understanding. This is where many people step back. They hesitate. They wait for more clarity before taking action. But clarity does not always come before the step. It often comes because of the step. When you move forward in faith, even without full understanding, new insight begins to unfold. The next piece of the path becomes visible. The next confirmation appears. Faith is not about seeing everything. It is about trusting enough to see the next step. You may also feel tension in these moments, a pull between what feels safe and what feels right. Safety keeps you where you are. It keeps things predictable, controlled, familiar. But what is right often requires movement. It asks you to step into something unknown, something that stretches your comfort. This is not meant to harm you. It is meant to grow you. Archangel Michael stands as a protector in this process, ensuring that as you step forward in faith, you are not left vulnerable. His presence surrounds your decisions with strength and clarity, even when your mind is still catching up to what your spirit already knows. There is also a quiet peace that comes with true faith. Not a loud certainty, not an overwhelming confidence, but a steady calm that says, even if I do not understand this fully, I know I am being guided. That peace is a sign in itself. It is confirmation that you are not moving alone. Do not let confusion stop you from responding to what has already been revealed. Do not wait for perfect understanding before taking a step that you already feel called to take, because what you are being shown is not meant to confuse you. It is meant to lead you. And faith is what allows you to follow, even when the path is not fully visible yet. Now you stand at a place of awareness that cannot be undone. You have seen the patterns. You have felt the nudges. You have begun to understand that what is happening in your life is not random, but intentional. And with that understanding comes a question that only you can answer. What will you do next? Because recognition is only the beginning. It opens your eyes, but it does not move your feet. The next step requires something deeper. It requires willingness. It requires courage. It requires a quiet but firm decision within you that says, I will not ignore this anymore. Your next step does not have to be large. It does not have to be dramatic. In fact, most of the time, it is simple. It is a single act of obedience connected to the last sign you clearly remember. That one thing you felt prompted to do. That one direction that stayed with you. That is where you begin. You may feel pressure to figure everything out at once, to map the entire journey before taking a step. But that is not what is being asked of you. You are not being asked to complete the path. You are being asked to start walking it. There is power in small, intentional movement. When you take that first step, something begins to shift immediately. Not always in ways that are visible, but in ways that are real. Alignment begins to activate. What once felt distant starts to come closer. What once felt unclear begins to take shape. This is because movement signals readiness. Archangel Michael stands beside you in this moment, not to push you, but to strengthen you. Because taking that step often requires you to move beyond what feels comfortable. It may require you to let go of something familiar. It may require you to trust your inner knowing even when others do not understand it. It may require you to act without receiving immediate confirmation. But understand this, your step is not unsupported. Every movement you make in alignment with what God has shown you is covered with guidance and protection. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone. You are stepping into a path that has already been prepared, even if you cannot yet see its full shape. There is also a need for stillness in this process. Not just action, but reflection. Taking time to pause, to listen, to create space where your awareness can remain clear. Because as you move forward, new signs will continue to appear. New guidance will be given. And staying connected to that flow is essential. Do not rush this journey, but do not delay it either. Move with intention. Move with awareness. Move with trust. You may also need to release the habit of seeking constant validation from others. Not everyone will understand what you are experiencing. Not everyone will see what you see. And that is okay. This guidance is personal, is designed for you. And trusting it means learning to stand in that understanding, even when it is not confirmed by those around you. Another important step is to remain open. Sometimes the path may shift slightly as you move forward. Not because the signs were wrong, but because you are being guided in stages. Each step reveals the next. Each response opens a new layer of clarity. This is a journey of relationship, not just direction. It is about learning to walk with awareness, to respond with trust, and to grow in confidence as you move. And now, everything comes down to this moment. You have been shown. You have been guided. You have been warned not to ignore what is in front of you. The next step is yours. Will you continue as before, allowing hesitation and distraction to hold you back? Or will you finally respond to what has been placed in your path, knowing that this time, something is different? Because this time, you are not just seeing the signs. You are ready to follow them. Beloved soul, now that you have come this far, allow yourself to breathe. Not with urgency, not with pressure, but with a deep sense of peace. because what you needed to hear has already reached you. What you were meant to recognize has already been placed before you. And now, there is no confusion left, only confirmation. Archangel Michael is not standing before you with warning anymore, but with reassurance. His presence now feels different, calmer, steadier, filled with a quiet strength that surrounds you like a shield. He wants you to understand this clearly. You are not behind, you are not lost, and you are not too late. Every sign you have seen, every moment you questioned, every nudge you felt but did not fully understand, it has all led you here. Not to overwhelm you, but to prepare you. Not to confuse you, but to awaken you. There is a gentle truth settling over your spirit right now. You are guided. You have always been guided. Even in the moments where you felt uncertain, even when you hesitated, even when you doubted yourself, guidance never left you. It remained steady, patient, waiting for you to recognize it. And now you do. Let that realization bring you peace. You do not need to chase signs anymore. You do not need to force clarity. You simply need to stay open, stay aware, and continue responding with trust. The pressure to figure everything out all at once is no longer yours to carry. There is a calm path unfolding before you now. Not one that is free of challenges, but one that is filled with purpose. And as you walk this path, you will begin to notice something different. You will no longer feel alone in your decisions. There will be a quiet confidence within you, a steady knowing that you are being led exactly where you need to be. Archangel Michael's protection goes with you. His guidance surrounds you. And the same voice that has been calling out to you through signs will continue to guide you, step by step, moment by moment. Trust that. Rest in that. And move forward with that. Because today was never about fear. It was about awakening. It was about helping you see what has always been present. And now that you see it, your path becomes lighter, clearer, and filled with a deeper sense of peace. Type "I trust" the signs in the comments if you receive this confirmation. Blessing code 9901 is now sealing this message over your life. And as this peace settles into your spirit, hear this as a living call, not from me, but through me. I am chosen to help this message reach the one who is still searching. When that thought rises within you, it is not SL Huche Adikaki. It is a divine invitation. Scripture declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy," and right now, your seed becomes someone else's answered prayer. Every offering you release through PayPal becomes a light that breaks through someone's darkness, a voice that reaches them at the exact moment they are about to give up. The giving links are placed in the description, and even the smallest act becomes a powerful ripple in God's plan. Do not delay this prompting. Step into it as an act of faith. As you give, may doors open without struggle. May peace settle over your home, and may your life overflow with the very blessings you are helping to release.